Got it figured out. Thank you for bearing with me. I'm Amanda Hayes from Ahahmo Coaching. I work with women and moms to de-hustle, to take self-care seriously, and to create a sense of sustainable calm in their lives. I am a one-on-one life coach. I'm also working on developing some presentations and webinars, talks, courses, all kinds of fun stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm so excited. Today, we are discussing the process of getting grounded, especially when things are chaotic around us, right? And when we live in a busy household, things can be chaotic quite a bit. So these strategies can help you really have a pause, take a moment, and change your approach, change your response to any given stressor or situation so you can continually show up better and better as you go. All right, well, let's get started here. So the title of this presentation is called Getting Grounded. These are 5 effective techniques. So these are actual strategies that you can use today or tomorrow or whenever to calm yourself no matter what's going on around you, whether it's stressful moments during your day, or everyone wants something at the exact same time when it just feels chaotic, feels like there's a lot happening. This picture of the frazzled mom trying to get stuff done and take care of herself, all the things at once, right? With babies crawling around. Now, as a mom of twins, I feel that. I feel that image, but no matter how many kids you have or how close in age they are, it can be stressful when everybody is wanting something from you at the same time or needing something from you at the same time. So our homes are busy, as I said. There's a lot going on throughout the day, throughout every day, a lot of things that need to get done or things you want to get done in order to have things flow smoothly and successfully make it to the end of the day, whatever that looks like for you. During these busy days, there can be specific trigger points that can cause us to have that sense of overwhelm or that sense of anxiety or frustration or anger. I mean, any type of those, lower level energy, the more catabolic energy levels or destructive energy levels that cause you to show up maybe in a less than perfect way. Not that we need to be perfect, but a less than ideal, loving, nurturing way. And I know when we go to bed at the end of the night, we feel better the more loving and nurturing we have been throughout the day with our families. Something that can get in the way of that is exhaustion, right? We are busy, we are tired, we're running from place to place. There's a constant to-do list in our heads about what we need to put on that list or this list, or what needs to be cleaned and what, who needs to be where and when, and what time do they need to come back. All the things can just be taking up all this space inside of your mind, and it can be exhausting. And this can definitely have an effect on the way you respond to any one situation, even if it seems very minor. Somebody comes up to you and you're stirring something on the stove and they ask you a question and you just snap back at them, right? You don't mean to snap back at them. It just happens. And when you are tired, this very much affects your emotional resilience. So if you're exhausted, if maybe something else happened earlier that day and you're carrying that load, and very simple event occurs, you may respond in a way that isn't at your best or isn't necessarily even appropriate for that given situation. So that's where grounding strategies can really come into play. So you can kind of go from feeling like this to, or feeling like this, which I also very much relate to feeling a little more centered and grounded. And as I mentioned earlier, respond from that place of love and nurturing and really your true authentic self, right? We're not impatient in our core. We're not angry in our core. We're not resentful or frustrated or stressed out, in the very core of our being. So these strategies kind of remove you from that particular track. And that brings me to, why does grounding work? Why are these strategies effective? Well, when you're carrying an emotional load, it has a certain inertia to it, right? You're kind of following the river, the water of your responses based on what's going on inside your head. The thoughts that you're having are causing you to feel a certain way, and that's causing you to show up in a certain way. And oftentimes that can be a loop that just perpetuates and carries on throughout the day. And the way that we show up in our families as parents, as role models, as leaders in our homes, very much sets the tone for everybody. So if you're feeling short or frustrated, tense, sad, any number of things, it's going to affect the way that others feel around you, especially in our home with those who are closest to us. So this emotional inertia can just go on unfettered, unobstructed, as long as you'll let it. And these strategies break the inertia. They disrupt the flow of that particular emotion and give you a pause that's big enough to course correct, right? To choose a different response. So that's why grounding works. It disrupts the flow of negative emotional inertia. All right. And that brings us to the idea of starting to feel better so we can respond better. So during that disruption, right? During that pause, we're thinking to ourselves, well, really, we're just resetting ourselves. We're resetting so that way we can respond in a more productive or contributive or nurturing way that truly aligns more with who we are, inside, as our values, as our life purpose. So let's get down to it. Strategy number one is hold something in your hand. Now, this can be anything. It can be, a coffee cup that you have. Hold it in your hand. And this is where you're going to want to really just take a minute and kind of go inside, right? Now, if you're in the middle of some stressful things going on, then this might come off as a little strange to your family, but I promise you, these strategies are worth it. Some of these strategies you might find yourself needing to, go to a different room. However, a lot of these strategies can be done right in the same room that you are in. Okay. So any object will do. Can be your salt shaker on the counter, something in your junk drawer, maybe a screwdriver, or a tape dispenser, measuring tape. What do I have in mind? Oh, here's some tape. I mean, here's a lid to something. I mean, it can be anything. And if you don't have anything nearby, if you're somewhere where there aren't really objects, the shoe off of your foot is perfect. You just need something to hold on to. It's not the object itself that matters so much as what you're about to use it for. So you're going to want to hold the object in your hand, okay, and focus on the texture, okay? So avoid looking at the object, just feel it. Just feel the texture in your hands. Then you're going to move the object around in your hand. You're going to imagine the shape of the object as you're feeling it. Try and form a mental picture based on what you're feeling. So you're going to imagine this object based on what you're feeling, not looking at it. You're imagining, you're putting all of your mental faculties toward this object, which again is that disruption strategy for that emotional inertia. Then, in order to close the loop on the new pattern, you're going to want to describe the texture and shape to yourself. So is it smooth? Is it rough? Does it have hard edges or soft edges? Is it round, square, whatever else, hot, cold, however it feels, describe it to yourself. That is strategy number one. Now that could be done relatively quickly, right? You could grab your coffee cup in your kitchen if there's just a lot of chaos going on and you find yourself starting to feel anxious or inflated or agitated in some way. You could grab this and just kind of close your eyes and take yourself there quickly. And a note, I'll talk about it at the end again, but practicing these things will make them more natural. So that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is the 5-4-3-2-1 strategy. So this is another technique that forces you to focus on your senses. But this time you're going to be using all of them versus the hold on to something strategy. So the first thing you're going to do is look around you and describe something that you see. I'm going to describe 5 things that you see, in fact, but for each one, you're going to do this out loud if you can. If you can't, that's totally fine. But again, if it's super chaotic and you start describing things out loud, maybe that could reset the whole tone of the room. Who knows? In any case, describe the physical appearance of this object in detail, very detail, for 10 to 15 seconds. And then repeat this until you described about 5 items. So you can do this in less than a minute. Like I said, sometimes you need to leave the room, but sometimes doing it in the room can be good. Also, be the judge. If leaving the room is going to be a better outcome for you, then by all means, leave the room. Then you're going to describe 4 things that you feel. It can be an object nearby. Maybe you reach out and you feel something. It can be a physical sensation like the countertop under your hands, or the temperature of the air on your skin, or even your itchy nose. It can be any number of things. Then after you describe these 4 things you're feeling, you're going to describe 3 things you can hear. You might close your eyes to help with this auditory processing and help engage the receptors in your brain. But things like music, maybe there's people talking, or a show in another room, or animals, maybe even the air conditioning, something, describe 3 things you can hear. And then ask yourself, or find in the room, what are 2 things you can smell? If there aren't many ambient smells in your room, then pick something up and smell it. That coffee cup smells like coffee, right? Maybe this tape dispenser smells like, tape. Again, you can pick something up and smell it if you need to, or just see what's in the room. And then lastly, what does your mouth taste like right now? And have a drink of something if you need it to help, cement the taste. But those things will anchor your mind in 5 different areas that will, again, disrupt the emotional inertia, which is the goal. The next thing that is super helpful is phoning somebody. Call a friend. Call a trusted friend. One of the very best ways to help yourself in shifting your energy when you're feeling overwhelmed or agitated is to reach out to a friend and chat. Just, have a chat. Now, be careful. You don't want to call that friend who complains about everything. You don't want to call that friend who's going to jump right in the box with you and say how frustrating everything is and, really get in there with you. There's a time and place for that, perhaps. However, in this instance, you want to call that upbeat friend, somebody who does understand what you're going through, but also knows how to make you feel better. In this day and age of texting, where everything's done, via the typed word, right? Via 140 characters, having a real live conversation with somebody, even if it's quick, even if it's just a few minutes, can help immediately shift your energy and also disrupt that overwhelm. All right. Then the next thing is a breathing technique. You can use any number of breathing techniques, something that'll help you focus on your breath. My favorite one is box breathing. This is something that I've done through many different scenarios in my life. I even just do it quickly for a couple seconds if I'm feeling nervous about or anxious. It helps me really anchor into my body and again, disrupt that energy inertia, that emotional inertia. So here's how it works. So you're going to sit or stand in a comfortable position with your spine straight. So make sure you're standing up straight. Then you're going to close your eyes and you're going to focus on your breathing. You're going to inhale for 4 seconds, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to hold your breath for 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to exhale for 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold 2, 3, 4. And then you'll go back up, hold at the top again, and come back down and hold at the bottom. That's why it's called box breathing, because you're slowly inhaling, holding it for 4 seconds, slowly exhaling, holding it for 4 seconds. So it's a box. It really does work. Highly recommend it. If you do nothing else from this list, do that one. And then last but not least, the power of distraction. If all else fails, distract yourself in a non-harmful way. This could be something like dancing around the room. I like to tell my smart speaker to play my favorite song, and then, I'm belting it out or dancing or just being ridiculous and distracting myself in some way. Or maybe, pull up a cute animal video on YouTube, and watch it. Your kids will probably enjoy that as well. Do whatever it takes. Again, without harming yourself. So keep in mind, you want to avoid using things like food, drugs, alcohol, tobacco, any of those as distractions, and also be aware of how much time you're spending on the distractions, because the line between distraction and avoidance can be a fine one. And then, begin to notice throughout the day when you're feeling most overwhelmed. Are there typically some overwhelm hot spots that you find yourself encountering regularly, or triggers in your day that automatically kind of send you to that yucky place, right? For me, it's common, during the school year when the kids are home from school and I'm trying to finish up work, and, I'm making dinner and I've got, 100 different lists going in my head, and we've got somebody at some extracurricular, we've got another with homework, and, everybody has their own things going on, and I'm kind of managing all of that. And when in that time, if somebody comes up to me and needs something else from me, it's possible that I may respond in a less than nurturing way, in a more agitated way, which is where these really do come into play to help shift that energy. And I've noticed a huge difference in, the way I respond, just in taking a minute to have that pause and to break that emotional inertia. So it's definitely a very valuable piece, to add into your day. Consider practicing these strategies in those environments, right? So for me, it was before I even got overwhelmed, when I was in the kitchen making dinner and managing everything, right? I'm kind of doing it as soon as I start to feel even a whisper of that escalation, internal escalation. I'm starting to practice these. Ground yourself as soon as possible when you notice your emotions are heading south. It's far easier to stop a moving train while it's still moving slowly. And then finally, practice these techniques and be patient. These are real skills that you can use in times of anxiousness and overwhelm or agitation. Focusing your attention purposefully is not an easy skill to master, but it is well worth the time and energy. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening in. I hope these tips are helpful. You are amazing. And remember, at your core, you are a pure being of light and love. And that is in you at all times, no matter what. These strategies can help you get back in touch with that, so you're coming from that space of pure authenticity. If you would like one-on-one coaching, I am available for that. If you are curious about coaching and would like to have a discovery session, those are free, no pressure, no obligation. Go to my website, www.ahahmo.com, and you can click on the Work With Me button and get yourself scheduled. You can also email me, amanda@ahahmo.com. I'm happy to answer any questions or give you any of my thoughts on anything. And also, if you're interested in a presentation for an upcoming event, feel free to contact me for that as well. Again, thank you so much for tuning in today. I am glad to have you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much. Bye.